Graham.
Hey, how's it going, Itch? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing awesome. Obviously coming off the Royal Rumble last night, 11-year anniversary of when you won it the first time. Big moment. How does it feel to have just won the Royal Rumble, obviously, considering the circumstances and whatnot of on this day, January 31st?
It's very surreal. If I'm being perfectly honest, I feel like, like the old beat up body of a truck in a junkyard is what I feel like today. But emotionally, I feel great.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts.
It really is, and it's just stuff that's happening that you can't write. It's this weird serendipitous thing that's just happening, and I've tried to put my finger on it. I've tried to explain it to myself even, or like continue to pinch myself over this kind of year and a half long period, and I'm just going to stop doing that and really just savor that this is happening and enjoy every moment of it that I can. Just soak it all up.
Just an amazing moment. And it was so different from last year when you came back, obviously very different circumstances, no fans in the building this time around. When does it really start to set in for you? Because obviously you get that instant reaction last year, which was an all-time great moment. Is it when you go through Gorilla? Is it when you talk to your wife and kids afterward? Is it when you look on social media? When does it really start to set in like, holy crap, I just did that?
Honestly, last night, there was so many levels because, like you said, it's not like last year. And I knew it couldn't be like last year. Last year was once in a lifetime. There's never going to be another time where I'm off for 9 years and have fought back from this injury that was supposed to be the end of my career. That's not the case. So this year I have to treat it differently, not only from a creative standpoint, but also from a mental and emotional standpoint, and understand that there is no audience this year. So let's announce it, and let's try and get some buzz going into this thing, and let me start telling this story of this guy who never lost his championship, and now he wants it back. He's refocused because he understands that this window is not as wide as he even thought it was, and he even knew it was not that wide to begin with, but it's even smaller. That to me is a really interesting angle to go at this, because it's true, and if there's truth in this, it's going to work, because if I'm speaking truth as a character, you can just sense it. You just know there's authenticity there, and that's really what I'm going for with this. Now, last night, add in Christian, and it just adds in so many different emotional highs. And we went back to his house, and we just sat down, and we had a shot of whiskey together, and that just happened. We just did that. Like, we both find ourselves here doing this thing that we were both told we were not ever supposed to be able to do again. And it was just a really, really nice moment to have together in what has become a lifetime of amazing things that has happened to us within our friendship. So again, at this stage in life, really understanding to savor this and be present in the moment and soak it all in and just enjoy it, because I never thought it would happen. He never thought it would happen. And for it to be able to go back to his house and just kick back, put our feet up, slowly as we grunted and just to have that moment. And, we had a couple of cookies.
Yep. What kind of cookies were they?
Chocolate chip, and they were so good.
Oh, perfect. Can't get much better than chocolate chip. Well, it's great that you mentioned Christian, because it really was such an amazing moment when he came back, because you came back last year, and I don't think people really thought at that moment, okay, Edge is back, but there's no way Christian is coming back too. And we saw him a little bit, a few months later, right after you got hurt at Backlash. He came back to the thing with Orton for a night, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It wasn't cleared at that point. We see him last night. We hear the music hit, and you're thinking, okay, he won't get physical. And then he's in there for 20 minutes. He's among the final four with you in there, which is awesome. How far in advance did you know about that? Because when his music hits, we see that smile on your face when you're laying on the ground, which made for a great shot. Then the obvious hug. It just made for such a great moment.
Well, I'd known he's been cleared for a few months. And
wow.
So we knew, and we were just keeping it under wraps just because we didn't know what what was going to happen, what creative was, or anything like that. So that all just kind of came together last minute. But the reaction that I had when he was coming down, again, it speaks to what I said before, truths.
Mm-hmm.
An audience can tell when something is truly affecting a performer. And seeing him get that back and walk down that ramp, crowd or no crowd, I was just so happy for him. You know, I can't explain how happy I was for him to be able to get that back and hopefully be able to get a proper send-off that his career, that his work, his body of work deserves. And just to see him come down and be in there for it, that was so great. And what that camera caught was genuine and real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just it was one of the best photos coming out of last night. Not only you winning the Rumble, but the hug that we got to see you and Christian embracing right before that was just simply surreal, like you said. So you made your return this year. You announced it on Raw last week, made the shocking return last year. I know we actually spoke for a Vikings interview a couple of years ago to promote that show. Yeah, and we were going to do it again after that for season 6, and then they had to cancel it. And I'm thinking, maybe it has something to do with the Rumble return. That was like deep down, but you don't actually believe it until you see it. You know what I mean? So then you come back, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense now. How do you guys manage to keep these returns a secret? Because before, obviously last year, but especially this year, before we saw you come back on Raw last week with that promo, there was no word that you would be in the Rumble. So how do you manage to keep this stuff a secret until it finally happens?
Well, no one knows except me. So I've learned to keep where I'm at to myself. And then,
smart.
I've learned that kind of needs to be the way. And yeah, just, I when I get the clearance, I call the big man and say, okay, I'm cleared. And then I just leave it at that and kind of take it from there. And with Christian, it was actually easier, I think, because of the pandemic to keep it so quiet. Because last year there was the challenges of, okay, you're flying in, but I mean, I took a private plane. They had a car waiting for me. I felt like, the president, and they snuck me in, and all of these things sequestered me in the Houston Astros manager's office. Like it was so clandestine, and it was kind of fun, but it was also very stressful. And this year with Christian's experience, it was so much easier because we got to the arena. There's nobody here. It's just our crew. So it was much more relaxed and much more able to kind of keep these things under wraps, because at the end of the day, anytime we keep something under wraps like that, it's for the fan base to get that visceral, real reaction, whether it's at home or whether it's in the arena. It's for that experience, for the crowd's experience. And anytime you can do that nowadays with social media and everything, it's so rare to be able to pull it off. So when you can, you got to go for it. The reason I didn't, for instance, this year with the Rumble is because we can't recreate last year. Again, that was once in a lifetime. So why try? You can't match that. We don't have an audience to match that experience, to match that feel. So is it going to be a surprise if Edge comes out? Well, yeah, but it's not going to be like last year. So let's flip it and let's make it entirely different.
Yeah. And it worked, and it just makes for a great story going into WrestleMania. And obviously the reaction to the Rumble win was very positive, and there's always going to be a few detractors, those talking about the whole part-timer thing, without kind of realizing that your victory makes for one of the stronger stories you could possibly tell right now going into WrestleMania. What do you say to that argument about the whole, a part-timer wins the Rumble, blah, 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 kind of not really realizing that there's a lot more to it than just that?
Well, there is more to it, but those people also don't know my work ethic. I don't consider myself a part-timer. If I'm in the hunt for the championship, I'm here every week. That's the way I operate. I don't care what my contract says. So everybody knows that here too. So that's the way I operate. And if that's where you want me figured in, then I'm going to be here, because that's the way Adam Copeland does things. So I don't care what other quote unquote part-timers do. I know what I do, and that's what I do. So if people want to complain that I'm here every week and get sick of that, I'm sure they will, and they'll find another reason, because some people are just malcontents. But I plan on just trying to create one hell of a story going into WrestleMania, and wherever it goes off of that, not up to me, but wherever it goes, if they want me here, I'm here. You know, I put my acting career on hold to do this because this is my first love, and this is what I do best. And I wanted to come back, and I wanted to be able to, you know, hopefully impart some wisdom to a whole lot of talent here that is so talented, and it's really exciting for me. I never thought I'd get this opportunity again, so I'm going to take advantage of it. And if they want to create and craft something that causes me to be here, then I'm here.
And final question for you, Edge, as we come off the awesome Royal Rumble match and we head into WrestleMania, what appeals to you the most about facing either current champion Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns? And now McIntyre, you've had a handful of matches with. I think people forget that, you know, a decade ago before you retired. You guys have some history. You and Roman tangled a little bit in last year's Royal Rumble match. So what appeals to you about facing either guy, assuming they're still champion come WrestleMania?
I mean, either guy, you can't go wrong. With Drew, the Drew that I faced, you know, 10, 11 years ago, is a different person entirely. That being said, the Edge that Drew would face now is a different performer entirely. That's intriguing to me. I really respect what Drew did. I really respect the path that he took and his road back here. It's very redemptive, and I respect that. I appreciate that. And he's a sponge. You know, he's the kind of guy that's constantly asking me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I am more than happy. I'm always there for that. So there's a lot of similarities in regards to our character traits and our personality traits. And that's something that could easily be played upon. Now with Roman, what's so intriguing about that is the dichotomy in terms of character. That's fun too, because you have this head of the table, this, you know, almost like a mafia leader, and then you have Rocky trying to get this thing back, and knowing that there's only so long you can do it, so he's just got to try. And I mean, either way, to me, the story is going to be compelling. And honestly, I really can't go wrong. And that's a great place to be. Whichever direction this goes, I just feel like I'm going to be able to help tell a really, really compelling story that I hope people enjoy.
Definitely. Well, regardless of who you face, Edge, the story writes itself, and it's going to be super exciting to see you get your moment at WrestleMania 37 in Tampa, kind of after the moment was robbed of you last year at being Raymond James Stadium. It's going to be awesome to see you back at that stadium this year for Mania and the World Championship main event. So, Edge, thanks a lot for the time, man. It was awesome seeing you win the Rumble last night. Very much appreciate the time, dude.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Graham.